No.
All right, great. 9. So we have already finished 2 topics of the first topic we are speaking about, is the early Greece civilization. So we have spoken about the early Greece civilization. We spoke about the people who first started to inhabit the place and their problems, the Trojan War. We spoke about the city that started to arise at that place, including Sparta and also Athens. Later, we want to counter and introduce the types of governments like the monarchy, aristocracy, and oligarchy. Later, we also spoke about how democracy started to evolve in Athens and how everything turned to be in the good of the people until the war with Persia. During that war, Athens had came at the most powerful Greek city-state, yet unfortunately it did not last forever.
Teacher, your screen is not changing.
I'll stop it and start sharing again. Okay. For Abdullah al-Haydari, I made you a present. Do not worry. Okay. I've noted Abdullah al-Haydari. So we come to
Teacher,
counter.
Salim also wrote that Abdullah's laptop doesn't work.
Yeah, I have seen that also. So we have come to a counter for the city-states and also about the evolve that happened in those city-states, including Pericles and also and reformers for the city-state of Athens. Unfortunately, Athens has done something very stupid, that after they made a league, an alliance with other city-states, the Italian League, they started to take control of that league and steal the money for repairing Athens itself, regardless for the other city-states. And this act actually made some very immense changes in the city-states of early Greece civilization, and that because Sparta did not like the act of Athens, and they made the Peloponnesian League and had a fight with Athens, and actually they won, and they even brought the Persian to help them defeat the Athens or the Athenian League and fleet. And after that, for the decline of Greek dominion, the Peloponnesian War ended the greatness of Athenian Golden Age, although the Athenian economy eventually revived and Athens remained the cultural center of Greece. Its spirit and velocity declined in Athens as elsewhere in Greek world. Democratic government suffered, corruption and selfish interest replaced other ideals such as serve to the state. Fighting continued to disrupt the Greek world. Sparta itself soon suffered defeat at the hands of Thebes, another Greek city-state. As Greek battled among themselves, a new power rose in Macedonia, a kingdom to the north of Greek. Its ambitious ruler stood poised to conquer the quarrelsome Greek city-state. So, after the Peloponnesian War between Sparta and its alliance, with Athens with its alliance, of course, this was the step for decline, because now everyone in the Greek city-states was suffering. Sparta was suffering, Athens was suffering, and this just paved the road for another conqueror to come and take his position. Consequently, both of Athens and Sparta declined. And to the north, we will find a new kingdom. And always mention this, boys. Always strong warriors and invaders come from the north. Again, in all the civilization we have studied. Oh, the civilization actually. Okay, once you find a north, you will find the strong warriors, especially if there are mountains in the north. Like, for example, and for the Egyptian people, the Bedouin and barbarian came from the north. They started to invade the Egyptian people sometimes, but the Egyptian just smashed them. For the Mesopotamian civilization, the Akkadian came from the north, and later the Persian came from the north. For the Indian civilization, okay, strong barbarians came from the north. Chinese civilization, barbarians came from the north and invaded the empire sometimes. That's why they had to make a treatment with them. For the American civilization, and now in the Greek civilization, we had the Dorians at first invaded the Mycenaeans from the north. The Spartan were the ascendant of the Dorians from the north, and now another Greek king started to come down to invade all of the Greek city-states also from the north. So always once you find any civilization to the north of it, especially if there are some mountains or desert or plain desert, you will find out that there are some strong warriors who frequently will start conquering that place. So any question about what we have studied so far?
Sister, your screen is not changing again.
I'm gonna kill my screen. No problem, son. So can you see the screen now?
Yes, no.
Alright, so topic one, visualization. Is there any question? Anything to illustrate again? Shall we start by the next topic? Okay, so topic number
Yes.
3, we will start today about the early Greek thinkers, artists, and also writers, which is very important part. So, I read the beginning and you will complete. Even in the midst of war and political turmoil, Greeks had confidence in the power of the human mind. Driven by curiosity and a belief in reason, Greek thinkers, artists, and also writers explore the nature of the universe and the place of people in it. To later admirers, Greek, Greek achievements in the arts represented the height of human development in the Western world. They looked back with deep respect on what one poet called the glory that was Greece. So, simply the introduction for the new topic here is about how those people in the midst of night, how they started and stood together in order to fight for the human intelligence, because they believe that we humans have the ability to do whatever we need to do. Consequently, we writers, we artists, and also thinkers, we will have the ability to think for our country and start to face any problem that might face us. So that's actually what the Greek poets have made for us. So they started to stand together, give us a glimpse of the glory of Greece, even after they were invaded by other people from the north. So we will speak about the Greek thinkers, the artists, and also the writers. We'll speak about the philosopher, the logic, the rhetoric, the scholars. Plato, Aristotle is the greatest of them all, of course. Parthenon, tragedy, comedy, and also paradox. So, Abdurrahman, can you start?
Yes, but teacher, again, your screen is not changing.
That internet or what?
It's on the first paragraph, even in the middle fourth. Yes, no. I read from Philosophers and the Pursuit of Wisdom.
Yes.
Okay. As you have read, some ancient Greek thinkers challenged the belief that events were caused by the whims of gods. Instead, they used observation and reason to find causes for events. The Greek called these thinkers philosophers, meaning lovers of wisdom. Greek philosophers explored many subjects from mathematics and music to logic or rational thinking. Through reason and observation, they believed they could discover laws that governed the universe. Much modern science traces its roots to the Greek search for such principles.
All right. So simply in the first paragraph, we're speaking about how we people start seeing and looking at those who just love the wisdom, those who just see truth of the universe. How they, the ancient Greek thinkers changed the belief and the beliefs of all of men. Like for example, Aristotle. We still study Aristotle's work up till now. Just imagine, guys, for over 2,000 years, and the ideas of someone is still being taught. Aristotle have spoken about philosophy, have given us a wide range of artists and artistic views of writing itself and the process of writing. And so far, we still study that. And even some of you, once you enter college, you will study about Aristotle. Come on, so how great were those people? They were philosophers. And for the Greek concept, a philosopher is a lover of wisdom. So the early Greek people named or called the philosophers lovers of wisdom. Those lovers of wisdom started seeking truth. Truth for what? Truth for mathematics, truth for the universe, truth for the art and the artists, and everything was done for itself. Like, I need to know about the universe in order to know about the universe, not because I need money or fame or anything. No, because we love knowledge, we love wisdom. Consequently, we need to learn about them. And the second point, debating morality and ethics. Frayan, do you have a mic? Abdullah, Frayan, do you have a mic? Hassan? Alright, debating morality and ethics. Some Greek philosophers were interested in ethics and morality, like the good qualities of a man. They debated such questions as what was the best kind of government and what standards should rule our human behavior. Simply, they mean that we all are human. We all are living in the same place, which is our city state in Greek. But what shall we do? How can we condemn our acts? How can we judge ourselves and try to respect both ourselves and others? So they started to trigger these questions, and that debate led to we need to make some standards for the human behavior and also how to serve our country and represent it well. In Athens, for example, the Sophists questioned about, which is a philosopher. In Arabic, they call him Sophistes, but Sophistes. So in Athens, for example, we have a philosopher called Sophistes. Questions accepted idea to them. Success was more important than moral truth. They developed the skills in rhetoric, which is the art of skillful speaking. Okay, how to present yourself in a good way and how to speak in a very good way. Ambitious men could use clever and persuasive rhetoric to advance of the Peloponnesian War down to follow the other citizens, however, accused the undermining traditional Greek value. Of course, the accept or the concept of Socrates, they just turned the speech. Like, for example, I'm having a debate with Abdurrahman. While I'm having that debate, I'm using my own persuasive ideas, my own rhythm, my rhetoric, in order to convince him with my situation. Although that my situation and what I am standing for is false, not true. But I'm having the ability to speak and to persuade. Consequently, I'll just persuade him with whatever I want. So once again, people who follow sophistes, okay, or sophist ideas just to gain power and win in debates. And of course, this power could be in their position or even to get money or to scam people for the money even. Right?
Teacher, your screen is not changed.
I'll kill my screen guy. It's really gonna kill it.
It is on page 142.
We are in page 140. Socrates changes tradition. Another one of the most important philosophers of the early Greek civilization was Socrates. So, Socrates he challenges the traditional ways of the early people. One outspoken critic of the Sophists was Socrates, an Athenian stone mason and philosopher. Most of what we know about Socrates comes from his student Plato, and of course, Plato is another very, very important one. Socrates himself wrote no books. Instead, he passed his days in the town square asking people about their beliefs, using a process we now call the Socratic Method. Very important. Socratic method, he would pose a series of questions to a student or a passing citizen and challenge them to examine the implications of their answers. To Socrates, his patient examination was a way to help others seek truth and self knowledge. To many Athenians, however, such questioning was a threat to accept value and tradition. What does this mean? Okay, so uh, have you known about Dr. Ahmadidat or Dr. Zakir Naik or Yusuf Estes?
Yes, I know them both.
Okay, so all of them are Muslims and all of them preach of Islam. They are actually following the Socratic method. The Socratic method, what is this? Simply, Abdurrahman believes in something wrong or he is doing something bad. So I'll just come to him and start asking him question by question. I'm just asking questions, okay? And he shall answer. And from his answers, he will come to see the contradiction in his actions. Consequently, he will stop doing that as he now has sought truth. So, after he finds truth, he will stop doing the bad deeds he is performing and will come to the right path once again. So we have Dr. Ahmed Data, may Allah bless his soul. We have Dr. Zakir Naik right now. We have Yusuf Estes in America, and many Muslims who just start to ask the non-Muslims question by question. So, can I can I tell you that this mug, for example, created itself? So the person will say no. Can this laptop create itself? They will say no. And start him. So can we create ourselves? No. Then there must be a creator, right? They will say yes. So now they are just changing their minds by letting them have an open window on the truth. And that was the Socratic method. So Socrates himself, he found out that the Athenian had altered their way. They were first seeking truth and helping the country and serving the city-state of Athens. But later they started to become very greedy and only seeking money. So he just would stand in a market and start asking the people a series of questions. These questions will trigger some ideas in their minds in order to alternate and make them seek truth and go back to the ways of their ancestors in which they stood one by one hand for them themselves and also for their own city-state. So when he was about 7 years old, Pratt was put on trial. While that, his enemies accused him of corrupting the city's youth and failing to respect the gods. Standing before a jury of 501 citizens, Socrates offered a claim and reasoned defense, but the juries condemned him to death. So the man stood in front of them. So you say that there are gods living on the Mount Olympus. We have Zeus, the chief god. We have Athens. We have Ares, and all of these gods, right? Where are they? What can they do to us? Why there are plenty of gods? How can a god do some offensive action like those you are telling in your tales and stories? So he started to reason with them that there is no such gods for those you are calling. If there is a god, there must be just one god. Okay, he created us all, and all of us are equal. So he just started to trigger the truth in their mind, yet they did not accept his truth, and they condemned him to death eventually. and mentioned that the jury was 501 citizens, not only 500 citizens, but 501. Okay, and if you can remember, we have studied that the jury was only 500. Okay, and here was another trick, because the culture person we will come to count later. Loyal to the land, of course, Socrates their this penalty. He drank a cup of hemlock, the deadly poison. So hemlock is the deadly poison that Socrates took his life with. His student Plato. Plato describes a perfect society. How can a society be? If we need to make an excellent and perfect society, what are the ideas behind that society, and how can we trigger such one? The execution of Socrates left Plato with a lifelong distrust of democracy. So, because now, after his teachers, Socrates was killed because he just taught truth for the people. So he did not trust the ways of the Athenian people and the democracy they are using. He fled Athens for 10 years, meaning that he escaped from Athens for 10 years. When he returned, he set up a school called the Academy. So the Academy was set by Plato. Okay, the Academy. There he taught and wrote about his own ideas, like his teacher Socrates. Plato emphasized the importance of reason through the rational thought. He argued people could discover unchanging ethical values, recognize perfect beauty, and also learn how best to organize society. So step by step, he started to introduce the people to his previous teachers' ideas. In his book, The Republic, Plato described his version of an ideal state. He rejected Athenian democracy because it had condemned Socrates just as it tended to other excesses. Instead, Plato argued that the state should regulate every aspect of its citizens' lives in order to provide to their best interest. He divided his ideal society into three classes. Number one are workers in order to produce the necessities of life, soldiers in order to defend the state, and last but not least, the philosophers to rule. So, a philosopher must rule the state simply because he just know wisdom and acquire the wisdom and the needed wisdom for that society. The elite class of leader would be specially trained to ensure order and justice. Only the elite class of the leaders. The wisest of them, a philosopher king. So a king must not be a warrior, must not be anything but a philosopher, would have the ultimate authority, because a philosopher always will seek truth for his city and also for the people. Plato thought that, in general, men surpassed women in mental and physical tasks, just like the previous Athenian people. So, man is always superior to a woman. Still, Plato always and also thought of that, but that some women were superior. And here he just presents to us some other factors that although women are superior to men by nature, Yet some women were superior to some men, because not all of us are workers, not all of us are soldiers, and surely not all of us are philosophers. So for some women who can trigger their mind and become a good philosopher, they can be superior to some men. Of course, they are the talented women. He said they should be educated to serve the state. So, simply, any questions so far?
We don't see your screen. It's not changed.
What can I do to my screen? It's the fifth time, I believe, I stopped sharing. Can't share again. Hola?
What?
see? Can you see it?
Yes.
Alright, so once again, we started to speak about the Greek thinkers. About those thinkers, we have the philosophers. The definition of philosopher in the early Greek civilization was the lovers of wisdom. Those people who used wisdom in their actions in order to change the republic mind. So they used logic and they used wisdom. A part of those philosophers are the sophists. The sophists are the people who had the rhetoric abilities, the ability to skillful speaking. They can speak and convince other people with their thoughts. One of the sophists was Socrates. Socrates is one of the most important thinkers all over the whole history, not just Athens. No, Socrates is actually one of the most important thinkers and philosophers all over history. Socrates he tried to change the tradition of the Athenian people, especially after the Peloponnesian War, because they have left their ethnic, they have left their true value of the and just became greedy. So he tried to trigger their interest in the truth by a sequence of questions and a method that we later called the Socratic Method. In that method, he just asks people several questions, and from their answer, they will come to counter the truth. Okay, so Socrates started to ask the people about gods, goddesses, about the corruption and the city state of Athens. And because of this, once he came 70, some people in the jury or in the city did not like him because now he's changing the young people's mind about our own methods. So we will not have benefit anymore. So they have condemned him to a trial, and on that trial, 501 citizen stood as a jury, and they condemned him to death. He, of course, he accepted his penalty, and he drank some hemlock, which is a deadly poison. We have his student. His student name was Plato, also one of the most important thinkers all over the course of history. After his teacher was condemned to death and he was supposedly killed by the Athenian jury, so Plato has fled from Athens and left Athens for 10 years. After he came back, he opened a school and he named it the Academy. In that school, he followed his teacher's footprints and started to teach people about truth and about how to make a good republic, how to make a good republic, not a city state, not a kingdom, but a republic. A republic means owned by the people, serving the people. So, how to make a good republic? And he shared with us his ideas about an ideal society. He told us that the ideal society consists of three classes: workers, soldiers, and philosophers. workers in order to produce the necessities of life, soldiers to defend our state, and the philosophers to rule us, because philosopher always seek truth and has the ability to get us to a better position. And only the elite leaders will be trained special training, and one of them shall be chosen as a philosopher king. That philosopher king will have the ultimate authority over the city state, and consequently he will rule us in a good place. And that's from his own perspective, from Plato's perspective, as the ideal society. Okay, and although that Plato also thought man is in nature superior to woman, yet some specific women are superior to some men and hold the responsibility. Those men shall also be trained and shall be educated in order to serve the state and the community. So far, so good.
Yes.
Any questions so far?
No, thank you.
All right, grade 9. That's gonna be it for today. And if you have any question, have no hesitation to